Hi, how you doing, folks? Johnny speaking, solo podcaster. So today's topic, I'm going to talk about love and relationships, and I'm going to break it down a little bit into three components, and I'm going to distinguish the differences. I'm going to come up with a conclusion for you guys, and basically the conclusion is the moral of the story, the reason for this video. So my first topic, first off, I want to discuss about love. So so when it comes to love, to me, it has always been more like an emotion that comes and goes. But when I looked up on Google, it explains it more as a drive. The reason that it is not an emotion is because emotions have facial expressions, and there is no facial expression for love. So therefore, Google describes it as a drive, which also makes sense as well. So when I plug that into, so when I plug love into an emotion, like perhaps, for instance, being happy, being sad, mad. Those are emotions that are temporary, and they come and go, especially throughout a relationship, or throughout the day even. You're gonna be in and out. Some moments you're gonna feel happy. There's gonna be some moments where you feel sad or upset, but all that stuff comes and goes. It's gonna reoccur later on or stuff like that. So and then now we're gonna plug love into being a drive. So like Google says, so being a drive, that also makes sense. I say that because sometimes in a drive, sometimes you're driven to do something, and sometimes you ain't. For instance, the gym. You could be driven to go to the gym for 3 months, 6 months, a year, less. And then the drive, it comes and goes. So sometimes people, they get the drive for periods of times, and it comes away and it'll come back later. So I plug that into love. So now we're gonna plug in relationships. So love and relationships. My point is that love is not that important when it comes to being in a relationship, and I'm gonna explain why. Well, there are three components, I believe, three main foundations that would make a healthy, long-lasting relationship. So here they go. The one of them is love, obviously, gratitude and respect. Those are the two more important ones. Gratitude and respect are more important. I say that because, like I said, love comes and goes, and so when you're in a relationship, you can't just come and go. So that's why I say love is not the most important, but it is one. It is pretty. It's significant, but not as significant as gratitude and respect. I'm gonna get into some examples of distinguishing love and respect and gratitude. So, for instance, usually in the beginning of the relationship, there's love, the butterflies, the excitement. There's something new. You can't keep your hands off of each other, and that's usually love. That has to do with love. That's a drive. You're driven to be with that person, see that person, text all day, and then gratitude. So I don't know if you've ever like looked at because when I've been in relationships previously, I've looked at the love hasn't always been there. I've looked at somebody like this, like for my, let's say, one of my exes, for example. I'd look at her and I wouldn't feel the love, but then there'd be other moments when I'd look at her and then I would just think to myself, like, what would I do without this woman? Like I can't see my life being without her. You see that moment right there, that usually gets mistaken for love, but in fact what that moment is gratitude. So so me looking at her and just appreciating her basically is me having gratitude towards her presence or her company. You get what I'm saying? So that's the difference between love, but we often mistake that as love, and we say, like, I love this person, when in fact we're really feeling the gratitude. And as far as like respect in a relationship, that's the part where you guys respect each other's boundaries. You guys respect each other as individuals, and then also you guys respect your relationship together. So like boundaries, like if certain, it's usually disrespectful to talk to an ex girlfriend or something like that. So you by you not doing that or talking to other people, that's showing respect for your partner and for your relationship. So that's the part where respect comes in. So now that I'm kind of distinguishing the difference between love and gratitude and respect, because the definition of love, I mean, basically love comes and goes, but you can't be in and out of a relationship. That wouldn't be considered a healthy relationship. You see what I'm saying? So now that previously in the past, I haven't been able to keep relationships, you know, whether it was my fault or the other's fault, and that's due to not understanding the differences between love, gratitude, and respect. So in the past, I was driven to look for love, and same as maybe my partners. So that's where things get a little complicated and messy, if you will. Um, so things like that, like it could easily, when you don't feel the love right there, usually to us, or in the beginning, if you don't know any better, if you don't notice the differences between the three components that I just mentioned, when the love goes away, the drive, the excitement, the beginning stages, basically, when it goes away, when you're not feeling that no more, you usually tend to feel um, that the relationship is at an end, and that's not the case. It doesn't have to be like that, but that's usually what short-term relationships look like. And that's due to lack of being able to distinguish the three components that I'm mentioning right now. So now that I'm older and I'm able to distinguish the difference of the stage in my relationship, because like I said, it's gonna be shifting. The different. There'll be times where the respect is really high. There'll be times where the gratitude is really high, and then there'll be times where the love is really high. They're gonna be basically rotating, and there's no order for it. And it's possible that my partner might be feeling the love, and I might not be, but I'm feeling the gratitude. So so like I'm saying, but we're able to still be in a relationship due to the respect. Also, there always has to be respect. If you notice on my last video, I was big on respect. um so with the respect aspect, we're both together, I'm respecting her, and that's the reason me coming home every night, and there's time accounted for, always. And notice that I didn't say communication, and I'll get into that more later in the video. So I know a lot of people are big on communication. So I'll touch up on that later on in this video. So where I'm at right now with with the distinguishing the different stages in my current relationship. So the reason for my other relationships in the past, the reason for them coming to an end was basically lack of understanding the differences between gratitude, respect, and love. So therefore, not understanding, they come to an end. So this is why I'm making this video, so that hopefully, if you're in a relationship right now, you could distinguish the differences of the stages of your relationship. And if you, or maybe some of you are having trouble getting over an ex, maybe this will help you distinguish where it went wrong and stuff like that. So excuse me. So back to the love. So and respect and gratitude. So my answer, if you ask me, my answer to, is it possible to be in a relationship and not be in love? Most would say no. I definitely say yes. Yes, it is possible to be in a relationship, a healthy one, long lasting, when there is no love. So due to the fact that gratitude and respect outweighs love. So, and I'll get into like a category that I have categorized people that tend to focus more on love and communication. So it is important, though. It is, although it's not always going to be there, it is important to try to keep things exciting and try to bring that spark back. But like I said, as long as you have gratitude and respect for your partner and the relationship, I guarantee you will have a healthy, long lasting relationship, although the spark is not always going to be there. Okay, which leads me to so now let's go to communication and love, starting with communication. So I know a lot of women especially are big on communication, and some would say, oh, if there is no communication, there is no relationship. You can't have a relationship without communication. Well, I'm gonna break into that. I'm gonna break down communication. So communication, to me, communication is not always a good thing. Sometimes it's better left some things are better left unsaid, or some things, like you can't take back your words or anything like that. So communication, depending on the person, could be really bad or really good. So when it comes to communication in a relationship, communication is usually the beginning stages of a relationship, just like the love and the excitement, the butterflies. You get what I'm saying? So communication, when it comes to that, it falls into the beginning stages, which is the love, the excitement, the new. So once you've already established like that, each other, and there's a lot to talk about. Sometimes there's nothing to talk about sometimes, and that's nothing, doesn't mean anything wrong. So like I said, with gratitude, when we speak about gratitude, if you have gratitude for your partner, obviously you feel appreciative, and you could just sit there and enjoy their company. So when it comes to my new relationship that I'm in right now, that I want to talk about, let's talk about communication. For sometimes I'm a truck driver, so sometimes I drive out of state, and I'm gone for a period of time. The most I've ever been gone for was a week, and I'm driving a lot, so I don't really have the time to communicate too often. It's really loud on the rig, there's Bluetooth and stuff. It's really loud, and then you can't be texting and driving. It's pretty dangerous. So sometimes me and my current relationship, we're not always able to communicate. But we have a lot of gratitude towards each other. I especially have a lot of gratitude towards her. So that when it comes to being in a relationship and there is no communication, or zero to little in that aspect, so when it comes to communication, it's not plausible, or it's not safe. So, but here's when gratitude comes into play. So gratitude. So I appreciate her company, and she appreciates mine. So I know she's there. She's gonna be home when I get back, and she knows I'm coming back. So that's when the relationship, you see how it's able to we're able to coexist and continue on without the communication. Also, more about communication. Communication, if you have gratitude for somebody, sometimes, have you ever just sat there with your partner and not said a word, for a long period of time? So sometimes I come home, and me and my partner, we hug each other, we kiss, and sometimes I'll get home in the middle of the night, the kids are asleep, and we just turn on the TV, and she asks how my drive was. I say good, basically the same old routine, small talk, and then we just stay silent, sitting there watching TV, not talking. You see, so we're not communicating, but since we both have respect and gratitude for each other, like I'm grateful, I'm truly grateful to have her in my life, have her next to me. So it's like there's nothing that needs to be said. I feel like I'm enjoying the moment, like I'm at peace with it, and she is as well. If she wasn't, I would feel the vibe. You get what I'm saying? I would feel the energy. But we're both just there, content, not talking, and we're watching TV. So there's an example of not communicating. And so I'm gonna get into an example of, I'm gonna get into an example of how communication could be bad or misleading sometimes. So like I said, sometimes it's not necessary to say anything. You don't have to have a conversation going to keep a relationship going, as long as the gratitude is there. You're vibing. You can sit next to your partner without saying a word, and things are good. So genuinely good. So I like when I say genuinely, like I genuinely enjoy the silence. She's on her phone, I'm playing Xbox, or I'm on my phone, and there's no issue with that. We're both content. You get what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm gonna get into a category later of where I categorize people that have the need for love and communication. So so I'm going to go ahead and get into a story that will lead to the conclusion of my video, and it's a true story, by the way. So it's a story of a young girl marrying her junior high sweetheart. They were married for about 12 years. I think they were together 14 in total. They recently just got divorced. So here's a story that led up to that and the reasons. So they ended up getting married. They began a family. This guy right here, he was pretty, he's pretty quiet, really respectful. He's always been like that. I know of this marriage. due to the fact that I lived with them for periods of time off and on throughout the years, and so I was basically able to get an inside view of the marriage and stuff like that. And so they go ahead and get married, and then that's just the beginning. So it's fun and exciting, stuff like that. This gentleman that I'm talking about, the husband of the woman, he was always very quiet. He's since for years I've known this individual since I was probably 11, 12 years old. I'm 30 now. So he's been in our lives, and we've gotten to know him, the family, and he's always been quiet. He's never been someone to really talk, and he's someone that's genuinely content, like where he's at. So, for example, he'd come over to the house, and I lived with 3 older sisters, my mom and my aunt. It was nothing but women. With respect to these women who I love so much, they were really loud and exciting and talking, and it was pretty up the energy. And he's always been kind of more like a quiet individual, reserved, just observing. And the thing I've noticed is that he's like that, and it's never bothered anybody in the family. It's never bothered my other siblings, my mom, my aunt. It never bothered me. Basically, I could feel the energy that he was just content where he was at. He was enjoying the presence of us. He was enjoying our company. He enjoyed being there. He was just really, really quiet, not really social. But the energy that I felt was that he wasn't ever uncomfortable or anything like that. So the woman that married him seemed to have an issue with that prior to the marriage, but it wasn't ever really that bad. Obviously, ultimately, she had a lot of gratitude towards him. Ultimately, led to them getting married and stuff. So, and then once they had their first child, he had a profession in mind. In short terms, he had to change it to accommodate his baby coming in and his girlfriend at the time. So he changed professions to accommodate that, and it was more of a lower caliber profession. But however, he was able to provide for his family for 12 years straight. Ultimately. So in the beginning, she was someone that didn't have to work. She was a stay-at-home mom, and then became a stay-at-home wife. She pursued a career in baking, or she wanted to pursue a career in baking. So he went ahead and funded that and paid for it and made sure that she was going to do something that she wanted to. And throughout the time, she's had many different jobs. And then, if any slight convenience, like a supervisor talked bad to her, or she was having a disagreement with other employees, he would go ahead and tell her, you know what, well, don't go, just go ahead and quit if you want. If you're unhappy, I don't want you to be unhappy. Go ahead and quit, and then I'll take care of the bills and everything like that. Don't worry about it. And he was able to do so. So she was able, throughout these 12 years, she was able to quit any job at her discretion. So I mean, I don't know if some of you work or not, but me, I've been in jobs where I didn't like, but I just could not for the life of me quit because I have bills and responsibilities, financial obligations and stuff like that. But I could only imagine the feeling of like, hey, you know what? If I don't like this job, I can go up and leave, and no worries, right? You would think so. Bills are gonna be taken care of and stuff like that. So that's a lot of stress off of anybody's back. So that's what's going on, and this is going on. This happens off and on for like 12 years. So, however, this woman decides to pursue a career and being a hairstylist, the cosmetology, I believe, and he went ahead and supported her and funded that. Purchased a car for her to get there. He had his own car. Well, they had a car, like a nice one. At the time, it was nice. He passed that over to her and bought a little beater truck so that he can get to work. So he passed on the family car so she could get to so that she can go ahead and do her things, get to school and stuff. And she ultimately passed and got certified and all that by the state. and she was working at a salon and stuff like that. So she began to do stuff like that, and once that happened, they were able to buy a house together. Um, she wanted to buy a house. I remember she was just tired of living, with the family and stuff like that. So she wanted to purchase a house. So he went ahead and purchased her a house. Um, he opened up his 401k and put the down payment. Um, so throughout the years, I'm watching this, and I see things progressing. I see the gratitude leaving, maybe from both sides probably, but it was more obvious on the woman's side. So apparently the communication became more of an issue. The communication became more of an issue, and being inside of this home and living there, I see that nothing's really changed with him. He's the same guy, quiet, reserved. Uh, he'll talk to you if you talk to him. Uh, he talks about sports only, mainly. And it's not a big issue for me, but it became a big issue for this woman that was married to him. Apparently, he wasn't talking to her at night. That he would come home and just watch TV, stuff like that. He was handing her the paycheck for the mortgage and everything. His whole paycheck went to her. She was in charge of the finances, the bills, stuff like that. And it became more. She became more focused on her career, which is fine, and he was fine with it. And he made sacrifices to make sure that she was able to excel in her career, and she has. So the thing about that is, so he went ahead and purchased her a car so she can get to and purchased. He paid for the schooling and stuff like that. Bought her a house, and I see that the gratitude is decreasing. The fights are getting more crazy, more loud, more insulting, stuff like that. Now it's starting to get deep, and she's starting to insult him and stuff like that. Fast forwarding to so there becomes another man involved. It becomes apparent. I'm in the house. I'm in the next room over when I hear him confront her on text messages, and she's speaking about love to another man, and there's a bunch of text messages and stuff like that, and messages on the media. So I'm hearing everything go on, and I can't really believe it. But then I'm not really shocked. And he calls me. He leaves the house. He tells me that I heard everything. So I heard from her mouth that he talks to me. He takes the time. And I love that. So here's where her necessity for so this is what led to the end of this. They ultimately got a divorce. So what led to that was her necessity for communication, and you would think like, hey, she's been telling you for all these years to the husband that communication is an issue. Talk to me. I need you to talk to me. Talk to the kids. Talk to somebody. I need to hear from you. So her necessity was communication, and apparently something new, which which leads to my next category that I mentioned earlier of that I was going to mention, and it's called butterfly chasers. But I'll go back to that. So she pursues something new. She's pursuing the butterflies, the excitement, talking to somebody else, and she's mentioning love with this individual over text messages while she's married she's married in a relationship, married in a marriage at the time. So he leaves. He leaves her the house and everything, right? And she's distraught. Obviously, I don't think that she meant for it to end in those terms. I think that she was just building up the courage to end things, but found someone else. And once he figured that out, she just told him the truth. So he ends up leaving with the he ends up leaving and stuff like that. And he doesn't just leave her with the house bill, with a mortgage and stuff. He agrees to pay everything as long as the other man that she was involved with doesn't move in. So eventually the guy moves in, and the agreement is off. A guy moves in and the agreement's off, so he stops paying the mortgage. So she had so her new husband. Now I'm gonna fast forward to her new husband. So her new husband comes along, and he's the complete opposite. He's very good with communication. He's good with using his words. He's very communicative, and that's a good trait to have. It's not a bad trait at all. So like I said, he's the complete opposite. To an extent, from the exterior, it's from the exterior looking at it, I would think like, hey man, well, this guy's more fit for this woman. This woman seems really content. No more screaming, no more fighting, no more arguments. She's really content. She's content with being home and stuff like that. Nothing. There's no bad energy, and so she's really happy. So I had to I get to know this man, and and I get to know him, and I'm just hanging out with him for a couple hours. I see that he's very communicative. He has a lot of stories, a lot to tell. A lot to talk. And I'm someone who's very observant and stuff like that. So I see the differences between him and my and the ex and the other husband, the ex-husband. I see the difference between that, and I see that my sister is gazing at this gentleman while he's talking to me, and she's literally like this, fluttering her eyelashes, and she seems very happy, and that makes me feel good. I see this woman that grew up in my household, and I see her. She's fluttering. That she has that glow, that exciting, that look. The beginning, the butterflies, the new. This is something that's so exciting, so brand new, and then also she was big on communication. That was a big pet peeve of her, and he met that criteria. He was able to speak to her for long periods of time and stuff like that. Well, here's where I'm gonna get into how that might not have been a good idea. So right now their current situation, knowing, because keep in mind that me and this woman grew up in a household together. We obviously have ties, so I know what's going on with her. She knows what's going on with me. So I come to find out that when I'm talking to this man, he's telling me like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get your sister we're gonna get her a new salon, and we're gonna remodel the house. I own my own business, and it sounds really good to me. And I'm like, hey man, well this guy, I mean he might be the real deal. So I figure, okay, everything's fine, and right now they just got married, her new husband, and so where I'm gonna get to is, so he's the complete opposite, right? He meets the criteria of the communication. He's something new. It's really exciting. She went ahead and jumped into a marriage, a new marriage pretty soon. So they went ahead with that. So now I'm talking to other members of the household that have grown up, and her as well. It's been a while, but so now I'm understanding that her credit cards are maxed out. She's made too many late payments on the mortgage. The bank is pretty close to taking away the home. Excuse me. The bank is pretty close to taking away the home, or forcing her to sell it. And and I'm hearing this, and so when I go over, after I hear all this, I go over and I'm speaking to them, and she seems very happy. He seems the same, very communicative. He has a lot to say. He's talking to me. It's never a dull moment with this individual. He's talking to her. Her eyes are fluttering, the glow. You can see the glow around her. She's genuinely happy. But then when it comes to and it's not about finances. This is the point of this is the stability, the gratitude for the sacrifices that the previous husband had made. So where I'm getting to is, so this man, turns out that he's not a business owner. He's basically self-employed, and that's not a bad thing as well. I'm not knocking that. So it turns out that he's self-employed. He just used the words a little different. Okay, so this woman still doesn't have her salon. Nothing's being done around, nothing. No ultimate goals no milestones are being achieved so far. Her credit cards are maxed out. She's about to lose her home that I believe she worked really hard for, as well as the previous husband. The communication's there though, right? So I don't know if you see what's going on, but I mentioned the car earlier. So a car earlier. So now that car's getting old. The one that her previous husband purchased. And the car's getting old, and it's no longer, he had a family of his own, and they combined them, and that's no longer a compatible vehicle for the family, for the new family. So where I'm getting to is, so she had the previous husband sacrificed, a career in the military, and he seemed very disciplined, someone that would have excelled and stuff. So he settled to be a manager at a gas station, and it doesn't seem so exciting. But you know what? I imagine that it wasn't something he wanted to do, but he ultimately made the sacrifice for the woman that was carrying his child. And I know he didn't really communicate it very much, but his actions showed his appreciation and his gratitude towards her. Like, literally would hand over $1,500 checks to her, and maybe was left with $200 for himself after paying all the bills. And and this was bi-weekly, so paying all the bills and stuff like that. And I see that this guy, he was big on fish. He had a lot of freshwater fish, and you can't communicate with fish and stuff like that. And there's no need for communication. But he was really well with noticing when they were sick and stuff. You see a fish, you don't know anything, or you don't know when he's sad or upset. And this guy really seemed to notice that. Like, oh yeah, he's swimming this way. This means this, and he's really maintenance the he had like a 500-gallon fish tank. So this said a lot about the individual. This said that that he was a really simple guy, content. All he needed was a couple $100 to feed his fish, and he left the rest of the remaining balance for this woman to go ahead and pay her car payment, her rent and stuff like that, and then the mortgage and stuff like that. So where I'm getting to is the gratitude. So the communication became a bigger issue, and to me it seemed like maybe to her the relationship was getting dull, the marriage was getting dull. There was no excitement. He was pretty steady, stable. He never went up or down. He was always on the same level, but it was a good level. So this man sacrificed a career, his finances for 12 years. Imagine giving up a $1,500 check for 12 years straight and being left with $200. But the thing is, your woman is well off. Your woman is she has her car, she has the children are fed, she owns a home, she has a decent career. So now with this new guy, she left her career to go ahead and work with him. I say with him because it's not for him. She's basically just keeping track of his accounts and stuff like that. And so basically she gave up what this previous husband sacrificed and paid for, her career and stuff like that. She still does it on the side, hairstyling and stuff like that, but that's not her main career. That's not something that she's doing for a living. So here they are, credit cards maxed out, no hair salon, house is about to be sold from their feet. When I hear talks of them getting, it's always one of the children needed shoes, and there was this big old argument and discussion between the previous husband, the new husband, and this woman. And from my understanding, basically the previous husband, he buys his clothes for his household, and they're responsible for theirs. However, they weren't too fond of that, and I guess it's normal. But I feel that the previous husband has realized the lack of gratitude that this woman has showed. So her need for communication outweighs her gratitude. So she wasn't practicing gratitude, which led to the divorce and which led to get into this new relationship. So she seems really happy and all that, but here's where I get back to communication. So the communication from her new husband, this is where communication gets complicated. I can tell my partner whatever I feel that she wants to hear. So can you, and so can this new husband of this woman. It's become apparent that he's very good at communicating, and he's very wise with his words. He words them perfectly, and everything. Usually, when things sound too perfect, they usually are. And I've mentioned this before to siblings in my family. When something's too perfect, when something sounds too perfect, it usually is. So the moral of this story is and now she thinks about it. Now I feel that now it's starting to hit her like, man, like, what does this come to? And this is not what I planned, but I'm happy with communication. So the thing about that is, well, the way I'm gonna describe it is that she's in a trance and she's unable to see what's going down around her. So her whole empire that was built with her previous marriage is coming to an end. It's going up in flames. Basically, she's about to lose a home, and to us, knowing that this sibling grew up, to us, with this sibling that grew up in this household with me, we didn't come from much. So when I look at this marriage, I'm grateful that she has that. I'm grateful that, man, she has a guy that's really solid, man. He bought her a house. He wants to pay for her careers. She wanted to do baking. He pays for schooling. He pays for her new career that she had in mind. She became I didn't mention, she became a life insurance sales woman, and he paid for that and the training and it was like a little course or whatever. But he paid for all that. He was really supportive of everything she wanted to do. Everything she wanted to do, he was there. Boom. He gave her his whole paycheck. Boom, go ahead and do this. If you want to do that, go ahead. So he was really supportive. The thing is, he didn't say it, but he showed it. So he was expressing and practicing gratitude. By doing this for this woman. He appreciated her presence. So he rewarded her, or his way of showing it was through buying her a house, car, and paying for all these. She's really skilled. This woman has skill sets like you will never believe. She doesn't, in fact, need a man, unless someone leads her to believe that she does need one. But this woman is a very, very assertive, skill set woman. She's just right now currently in a trance. But she'll wake up out of it. I've seen throughout the years and dealing with women that they always wake up out of it. The reality will hit. So what I'm saying is, the story, going back to the story, and then my conclusion. So practice gratitude for your relationship and for your marriage. Practice it. Sometimes the love, in this case, the love went away, and that's fine. But don't lose gratitude. Don't lose gratitude and sacrifice gratitude for something like love and communication. Love is the feeling, the drive that I'm telling you about in the beginning. Love is something new, something exciting, a drive. I want to get to know this person. I can't stay away from this person. That's the love. That's the drive that'll come and go, like I'm telling you. And the communication, like I'm telling you right now, it's not always necessary. Sometimes you just got to take the moment and be grateful, and seeing that you have someone that's providing for you, or someone that's providing for your family. Although you don't feel the drive to get to know this person and everything's dull, just remember to practice gratitude for that person. And I guarantee if you practice gratitude, that the love will come back and it will go away. And I guarantee if you continue to practice gratitude, it'll come back and go away always. Just don't ever lose gratitude. Don't ever sacrifice gratitude for love and communication. That is the secret to having a long, healthy, lasting relationship, marriage, whatever you want to call it. Now, don't be a butterfly chaser. Butterfly chasers have some traits. Butterfly chasers chase love, the excitement. They lack respect and gratitude. And I say they lack respect and gratitude because they're chasing the butterflies. So if things are going well for you, they'll start a fight, and just to get that. They might not even know that they're doing it, but they'll start a fight to get the excitement going, to the makeup to break up, the breaking up to make up. So if you find yourself fighting a lot, with starting fights with your partner a lot, just know that you're chasing that new exciting, you're trying to renew the relationship by starting a fight, making up, the excitement of getting to know, fighting for something. But, sometimes, and then stuff like that, so when they do that, those type of individuals, and men are that too. Women, don't think that I'm just talking to you. Men could be like that too. So where I'm getting to is the butterfly chasing. They're chasing something new. So these are people that are always back and forth with the same partner and I know a few that I've been back and forth for years, and that's them chasing the butterflies and getting a new exciting and all that stuff. And then there are some who are just doing that, but with different partners. You get what I'm saying? So they're chasing butterflies with different partners and constantly and stuff like that. And you know, and people like that are in love with the struggle, and they're not capable of keeping a long, healthy relationship, because relationships can be dull and boring, and if you don't practice gratitude, they can come to an end. You know, and then if you don't respect the relationship, obviously they come to an end as well. Love, I guarantee that you don't need love to be in a relationship like that, where both of you are just grateful for each other's presence. So don't be a butterfly chaser. Be aware of butterfly chasers. They lack respect, lack gratitude. They're chasing butterflies, and they do that by starting fights with you and breaking up and getting back together and all that stuff. So with that being said, folks, that concludes this video. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Thank you.